Hello, welcome to Planet 13 Las Vegas, your premier cannabis entertainment complex. You and the driver will both receive an SMS message shortly with the pickup details. You'll also receive a call from the driver once they are close. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
That is all. Thank you very much. In this video, I'm going to show you my simple 4-step process for developing real solutions for real multi-million-dollar companies. Today, we're going to be building the AI Receptionist for Planet 13, the world's largest cannabis entertainment complex. By the end of this video, you'll have the complete 4-step process for how to build this for every company. Now, a quick disclaimer, I am not affiliated with Planet 13. This project is an independent case study for educational purposes. Step 1, building the AI agent's brain. The brain for our AI agent is going to be this knowledge base. Now, as you can see for Planet 13, it contains extremely important information about the company. For example, their store hours, their address, their website, all the different locations that they have, and all the different services that they offer. And to make sure that our knowledge base is easily accessible by our AI agent, we're going to use this workflow. It starts by basically grabbing the information from the Google Drive and then uploading it into a vector database called Supabase. Now, this is important because it's going to allow the information to be break down into smaller chunks, which are much easier to query and to find the information, especially when you're using a large knowledge base. So again, just to recap, essentially what this does is it gets the information from the Google Drive, breaks it into smaller chunks, and then uploads it into a database called Supabase, which makes it easier for the AI agent to get that knowledge. And now for step 2, defining the AI agent's soul. Now that our AI agent has knowledge, we need to give it a purpose, a personality, and some capabilities. Now to do that, we're going to go to a website called VAPI.ai, links in the description. And basically we're going to use something called the system prompt, where we're going to include those instructions. So as you can see, the role is going to be you are Elliot, a professional conversational receptionist for Planet 13 Las Vegas, acting as a digital receptionist. And your goal is going to be basically managing all inbound calls for Planet 13, acting as a first point of contact. And now for step 3, building the AI's hands. This end-to-end workflow represents the hands of our AI agent. It's what will allow it to do real work in the real world. So if you take a look at what it does, it starts off with a VAPI tool called Webhook that basically retrieves the data from the AI voice agent. After that, based on the type of message type it is, it's going to either be a tool call or an end of call report. Now, if it's a tool call, it's going to route it over here, which is then going to route it into all the different types of tools that we have given it. For example, sending shuttle notifications. As you can see here, it's going to send some SMS notifications to the customer and to the driver. And then next, it can also do things like sign up the customer for a loyalty program. Next, it can also get information like we said earlier. If the customer is going to ask a question about the company for factual information, it'll automatically know basically how to use this workflow in order to query the Supabase database in order to get that information. And finally, if the customer asks to transfer the call, it's also going to be able to transfer over here and check if the call is happening during business hours, in which case it's going to transfer. And if not, then it's not going to transfer. And step 4, the final test, when you call the VAPI phone number in order to make sure that everything works exactly how you want it to. So now that we understand the 4 steps, let's go ahead and get started with number 1, the knowledge base. First thing to do is go to Google Drive and then create a folder. As you can see, I've named the folder Planet 13 for this example. After that, I've created a Google document called Planet 13 Las Vegas. And if we click into that, basically we're going to see the document that contains our knowledge base, all that information about the company. And this is going to be what we end up uploading into Supabase. So now that we have our company information already, now we need to upload it into a vector database called Supabase. Now, the important part here is, as you can see, it got split up into about these 10 different chunks, which basically makes it much easier for the AI agent to figure out exactly where the information is in order to get back to the client. So now let's go through this end-to-end workflow step by step. The first node is going to be a Google Drive trigger node, meaning every time a file is created in the Google Drive, it's going to trigger and start this workflow. So the first thing that we need to do is go ahead and set up your credential. I've already done a tutorial on this. I'm just going to link to that here. After that, it's going to pull the Google Drive folder every minute. And it's going to be looking for changes that happen in the folder. So the folder that I'm going to select is called Planet 13 because that's the one that contains my document, that contains the company information. And the setting here is it's going to watch for when a new file has been created. That is perfect. Now the next node is going to be another trigger node. However, this one's going to be for watching for files that get updated in the Google Drive. So Same thing here. Credentials automatically going to get updated once you created it, and it's going to poll every single minute, and it's going to trigger on changes that happen to the Planet 13. The only difference is that it's watching for when a file gets updated and not created. After the workflow starts, we're going to set the file ID and just in order to track it. And then we're going to go to a Supabase node in order to get rid of the old rows that pertain to the information that was created using the old information. So let's go ahead and go into this one. If you haven't already, go ahead and set up your Supabase credentials, which I've already done the tutorial and I'm going to link to it here. But basically, we're going to delete the rows in a table called knowledge base, where it's going to have the metadata that's associated with a previous file. So this might be a little bit complicated, but the point is we're trying to find the old information, get rid of the old information before we input the updated information. So now that is good, here we're just going to download the file. This is basically what it looks like. And this basically just allows us to basically parse different file formats in order to get the information from them. So this works with both Google Docs, Google Drawings, Slides, and Sheets. So pretty much anything that you upload it into the Google Drive, it's going to get parsed and put into the Supabase. Next, we need to use an extract node where basically we're going to extract the information from the document and just output it as data, because we're going to need to do that in order to input it into the Supabase database over here. So we're going to, again, set up your credential, and then the operation is going to be inserting the documents into a table called knowledge base. And then we're going to also attach a query, which will be important for basically matching the documents later on, and I'll show you how to do that. And these nodes are basically just talking about how to chunk the information. So this is basically a default data loader. And this one's going to be basically chunking it into size of 1000. I believe this is tokens, and this is going to be 150 tokens of overlap. This is just the default best recommended setting, so just use that. All right, and finally, if you haven't already, also set up your credentials here. So go ahead and click create new credential and set that up, and the model is going to be embedding. So now that is perfectly done, just go ahead and hit save, and then set the workflow to active, and it's going to automatically be listening for information that it gets whenever a file gets created or whenever a file gets updated in that folder that you just selected. Next, we need to create the table in supabase.com in order to upload the information into it. So go ahead and go to supabase.com. Then, in order to create the table, click on SQL Editor. And it's basically going to ask for some code that we can use in order to create the table, as well as the function called match documents, like I said earlier. And in order to get this code, the easiest way to do this would just be go to my school community and then click on the templates tab. I'm going to make a post, go ahead and click on it, and go ahead and download all the files, and it's going to give you all the code, all the prompts, all the workflows. Like if you would just want to upload this, you can just click on these three dots and click import from file, and you can do that immediately. So it's going to make it a lot easier. So once you download those files, go ahead and go back to Supabase, and then just go ahead and paste the code into here, and then click run. Go ahead and click run this query. It should go ahead and say success, no rows returned. So that's absolutely perfect. In order to check that it actually successfully created that table, go ahead and click on table editor. And as you can see, it just created a table called knowledge base. Let's go ahead and click into that. And in order to make it restricted, go ahead and click on this button and just hit enable. That just makes it a little bit more secure. Alrighty, so once that's done loading, they should now show our information for the content, metadata, and embedding vectors. So all we need to do now is go back over to n8n. Now, it's going to automatically update every minute, but I'd rather just do this immediately. So I'm just going to hit execute workflow. And it should automatically see that it has been updated. So I'm going to go back over here and then hit refresh. And as you can see, the information has all been chunked and uploaded into Supabase. So as you can see, everything's working absolutely perfectly. Now that our AI agent's brain is all done, we need to go ahead and give it a purpose, personality, and its soul, right? So go ahead and go to VAPI.ai. And once you sign in, it's going to see something like this. Obviously, you're not going to have this. So let's go ahead and create the assistant from scratch. We're going to call it Planet 13, create assistants. Now, once we go ahead and create this assistant, it's going to ask us to select a model. The model that I like the best is GPT 4.1 mini. The first message mode basically says, okay, do we want the assistant to speak first, or do we want to wait for the user to speak first? Obviously, it's going to be assistant speaks first, and we're going to do that using a model generated message. Just makes it simpler for us to set it up. That way we don't have to worry about this first message here. We can just include it in the system prompt. What is the system prompt? It's basically the instructions that we give it to our AI agent to give it its soul and also the step-by-step conversation flow that we want it to follow. So as we said earlier, it says it's going to say something like role, Elliot or whatever it is. Easiest way to do this is go ahead and go to my school community, get those files. It's going to be called Planet 13 Assistant Prompt.json. So go ahead and hit Control A, Control C to copy, Control A, Control V to paste, then hit Publish to save. Now, just to go through this real quick one more time, it's going to say role, you are Elliot, a professional conversational receptionist for Planet 13. Next, it's going to say your primary goal is to manage all inbound calls for Planet 13, acting as the first point of contact. Sounds great, right? And then as you can see, as we go along, it's just going to say conversational flow and tool usage. Something like introduction. Hello, welcome to Planet 13 Las Vegas. And it's going to say basically, okay, well, the client's going to say, what do I want to schedule a shuttle ride. And then obviously when it hears that, it's going to say, okay, well, what's your phone number for SMS updates and what's your name and what's your hotel, some things like that. It's just going to go through that flow. So once that is all done, we're going to select the temperature. Temperature basically means how crazy or variable we want the responses to be. If it's too high, it's going to give responses that we probably don't want to give. And if it's too low, it's not going to have any creativity whatsoever. It's going to make it feel very robotic, right? So I found that the best value is somewhere around 0.2 to 0.4. Doesn't really matter in that range. It's pretty much the same thing. So I'll just say 0.3 for now. It's whatever. Next, we can configure the voice. So depending on what kind of voice that you want, there are male voices, female voices, deep voices, high voices. You just have to test that out. Obviously, there's like 10 different companies here, and each of them have hundreds of different choices. So you can just go ahead and test that on your own time. But basically, I'm just going to go with the default for now. Now, the next thing that we need to look at is going to be the tools section, because we need to give our agent different tools so that it can have very kind of specific functionality. Because as we know, this is a very complex project and we need to give it a lot of tools to use. So we're going to click on publish just to make sure that we save our progress before we move on. So once that's saved, we're going to click on create new tool. That's basically going to bring us to the tools tab. And here we can go ahead and create our new tools. I've already created all of them, but I'll show you exactly what that looks like. Go ahead and click on create tool. It's going to be called a custom tool. And then it's basically going to allow you to change all the different parameters. So the tool name, the first one, we'll just name it transfer call. And then we can skip all of this. The only thing that matters here is going to be the parameters. And with basically what the parameters is, we're telling the AI agent what this tool actually does and exactly how to use it. And obviously you can go ahead and just click add property in order to do it one by one, but that's extremely slow. So what I recommend is click on visual editor over here. And here you could just paste in the tool JSON. So go back over to the files that you downloaded. And as you can see here, it's just going to be called transfer call.json. So control A, control C, back over here, control A, control V, hit apply. And then if you want to see what it looks like using no code, you can uncheck this. And you can see we're collecting a reason for transferring the call. And it's going to be required, which is what this red dot means. And it's going to be a type string, which just means it's going to be letters and characters, not numbers, things like that. And then we're going to hit save to make sure that it saves. And that is it. That is exactly how you create a tool call. And you would just repeat that exact process for each of send shuttle notification. Just make sure that saves so it doesn't give you that warning, whatever. And loyalty sign up and get information. It's the exact same thing. Just get the code and just paste it in. Now that we've created all the tools, we need to go back to our assistant and give our AI agent the tools that we just created. So go back over to the assistance tab, scroll down to the tools section, click on the tools section, click on select tools, and then click on select all. And it's basically going to select all the tools that we're going to feed back into our AI agent, and then hit publish just to make sure that all saves. That looks like it's saved properly. Now, the last thing that we need to do is basically go over to the phone numbers section, and we need to create a phone number in order to basically allow our clients, people who need to call this agent in order to reach the agent. So in order to do that, click on create phone number. And then here you would just create any area code that you want. I've chosen the 702 just because that's Las Vegas apparently. And you can create up to 10 US phone numbers for absolutely free, which is amazing. So I'm not going to create one because I already have one, but basically once you've done that, go ahead and scroll down. And then here you're going to see inbound settings. Inbound basically means that when somebody calls this into this number, then this agent's going to pick it up. So as you see the numbers here, just go ahead and click on the assistant that you created. I don't even know which one's which, but it doesn't matter. Just click on that and then go over here and hit save. And that's going to save your assistant to this phone number so that whenever somebody calls this phone number, that assistant's going to pick up the phone. One final step is to go ahead and go back into the assistance tab, then go ahead and scroll down to a section called the structured data tab in the analysis section. And this is going to be essential for allowing the AI agent to have some instructions which will allow it to summarize the call in order to give it and update the call logs table in Supabase. So easiest way to do this is download it from my files. And it's going to be called VAPI call summary prompt.json. So go ahead and click in here, Control A, Control C, and then click in here and hit Control V to paste. So basically what this is saying is based on the entire call transcript, analyze the conversation and generate a JSON object for our records. And it's going to include a JSON object that includes things like call outcome, intent type, transfer reason, and a summary of the call. So again, this is just going to be the information that we're going to map into our call logs table in Supabase. So now that we've given our AI agent its brain and its soul, the last thing that we need to give it are its hands. And its hands are basically going to be the tools that it uses in order to interact with the world, in order to do things like update a calendar or update a CRM or send text messages, whatever it might be, right? So I'm just going to go through this step by step. Now, the first node is going to be a VAPI tool called webhook. Now, what is a webhook? A webhook is basically a URL where you can pass data from program to program. So I'm going to show you exactly how this works. As you can see, this is going to be your unique production URL. Go ahead and copy this a couple times, and then go back over to VAPI real quick, and then click on Assistance, and then scroll all the way down to the messaging section. Click on Messaging, and this is where you're going to enter in that URL in order to connect VAPI with n8n. So the easiest way to understand this is, for example, whenever the AI agent in VAPI does anything, then it's going to send the data over here. And then since we have linked this URL to n8n, our backend is going to pick up all that data and then use it to do whatever we need it to do. So go ahead and publish. And just to make sure that it's not sending over like information that we don't need, go down to the server messages section, click on this. And as you can see, it's sending us literally everything right now, and we don't need all that information. So we just need to click select all just to select, and then one more time just to deselect everything. And the only two things that we need are the end of call report and the tool calls. And I'll show you why in the workflow later. So go ahead, publish, just save that. So then we can go back over to n8n. It should be this one. And then, so the two different types of information that can get passed over are going to be a tool call or a end of call report. I'll just explain end of call report real quick because it's like simpler, but basically it's going to log the call ID, the call timestamp, the call transfer reason, things like that. It's just going to create that information into a Supabase database table, which I'm going to create for you later, actually. So basically the way that this works is it's going to automatically load with your credential, but we're just going to create a table that is going to be called call logs. But as you can see, it's red because I haven't created that table yet. So I'm going to actually go ahead and create the table right now. Go over to Supabase, and we need to go back over to the SQL editor. Now, if you remember from earlier, this code is responsible for creating the knowledge base table and the match documents function. But now we need to enter code in order to create a call logs table. So go ahead and open your files. This one's going to be called Supabase create call logs table code.json. So go ahead, click create A, Control C, Control A, Control V, then hit run. And it should say success, no rows returned. So that's perfect. And to make sure that it created successfully, click on table editor. And as you can see, it automatically updated it before our eyes. So it's called call logs and it's unrestricted. We can click onto that. Go ahead and enable security real quick. And once it's done loading, you can see the different columns that we're going to be basically logging into our Supabase. So things like the ID, customer phone number, the call outcome, the intent, transfer reason. So this is pretty basic stuff just to keep track of all the calls that happen. So we can go back over to n8n, and now if we click out and then we click back in, it should have loaded. And then we can just click on call logs. And that's how we're basically going to be able to map all of the information from the VAPI tool call webhook via the end of call report. And it's just going to put it all into that call logs table that I just showed you earlier. So the other type of information that our AI voice agent can pass over is going to be a tool call. This is going to be when it uses any of the four tools that we gave earlier, such as sending shuttle notifications, signing them up for loyalty program, getting information, or transferring the call. And the point of this is that, let's say that they use the send shuttle notification tool. Then the workflow is going to route into this route over here, and it's going to send the SMS to the customer using a Twilio node, and it's going to also send an SMS to the driver, and it's going to respond using another webhook. As I said earlier, webhooks for transferring data back and forth. So let's go ahead and click on this real quick, And as you can see here, it's basically saying that we're going to send information from the Twilio phone number, which we're going to set in the variables node. And then we're also going to just send it to the customer's phone number here. And it's basically going to say something like, Planet 13 shuttle confirmation. Your driver has been notified for a pickup. And for customer name at pickup location. The driver will call when they are near. So that makes a lot of sense. And the next one is going to be another Twilio node for sending SMS to the driver this time. Oh, by the way, if you haven't set up your credential, I'm going to link to that real quick over here. But basically, it's going to do again from your Twilio phone number, and it's going to send it to the driver's phone number. And it's going to say something like new shuttle request, pickup from the customer name. No, no, it's saying new shuttle request, pick up Anthony at pickup location. We'll say it's Caesar's Palace, customer phone. And so this is their phone number that the driver is going to call when they are near the location. So that makes a lot of sense as well. Next, we're going to sign them up for the loyalty program. Now, if you have the client's actual loyalty service, you can actually just use an HTTP request node in order to actually, connect with that. But we're just going to say that it's going to automatically confirm and work properly because I don't have that information. So again, we're just going to use a webhook in order to basically send that confirmation back to the caller. Next, we're going to look at the transfer call node. So basically the way that this works is that it's going to check if the call is going to be made, let's see, greater than or equal to the start hour of the business. So let's say that the start hour is going to be 9 a.m. Then if it's greater than 9 a.m., but less than, let's say that they end business at 5 p.m., then it's going to route to an actual human caller. But if it's outside of this range, then it's not going to, right? So that makes a lot of sense. If it's true that it's between the business hours, then we're going to transfer it. If it's false that it's between business hours, that means that's outside of business hours, then we're not going to transfer the call. So the last tool is going to be called get information, and this is going to be used when the AI agent is trying to get the information from our Supabase database. So if you go back over here, we're going to basically see that we're going to need to try to retrieve the information from Planet 13 company information. So we're going to go ahead and click on the Supabase database node. And here we're going to select it from the list and we're going to choose our knowledge base that we had talked about earlier. And the query name is again going to be the function that we created. So that looks good. Then over here, we're going to select our vector store. And this is the exact same thing. Make sure that you choose from the list and go ahead and choose the knowledge base table. Perfect. And that is all done. So now we can just go ahead and hit save. And then make sure to set this workflow to active, which basically means that it's actively listening for information that gets passed over from our AI voice agent. Now, the last thing to do is give it the final test by basically going over to the phone numbers and calling our phone number. So,
Hello, welcome to Planet 13 Las Vegas, your premier cannabis entertainment complex. My name is Elliot, your AI receptionist. How can I assist you today? Please be aware that this call may be recorded for quality assurance and compliance purposes.
hey, Elliot, I need to book a shuttle.
Certainly, I can help you with a free shuttle ride. First, may I have your first and last name, please?
Of course, my name is Anthony Ton, T-O-N.
Thank you, Anthony. And what is your cell phone number for SMS update and the name of your hotel for pickup?
And the name of my hotel is Caesar's Palace.
Just to confirm, your pickup will be from Caesar Palace for Anthony Ton, and your contact number is that correct?
That is correct.
Excellent. I've sent this information to our dispatch system. You and the driver will both receive an SMS message shortly with the pickup details. You'll also receive a call from the driver once they are close. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
That is all. Thank you very much. So as you can see, our AI receptionist handled that call perfectly, and I just received the text messages that I said, basically sent to myself for this demo. So now the next thing that we need to do is go over to Supabase to see that everything has been updated. And as you can see, our call logs table has indeed been updated with that information. So it correctly identified that the intent type was send subtle notification SMS. there was no transfer, so there was no transfer reason. So we can actually go ahead and click on the summary, see what it says. It says Anthony Tan called Planet 13 to book a free shuttle, providing his name, phone number, and requesting pickup from Caesar's Palace. That looks absolutely beautiful. And then here's the transcript for basically everything that went on. And then here is a recording URL where you can basically copy and paste this if you want to listen back to the entire recording. And that is how you build a real solution for a real $1 million company. So if you guys enjoyed that, make sure you go to my school community. You can get all those documents that you need in the templates tab. Go ahead and click in and go ahead and click download for all of that. And if you have any questions, make sure you go to community tab, ask any question that you need, and I'll make sure you get all the help that you need. And actually, one thing that's really cool that we're doing right now is we're doing an Agents Accelerator program where you basically make a post every single day. And I'm going to give you my feedback on exactly what I think you're doing well, what I think you could be doing better. And you're going to do this for 30 days straight. Okay. And then once you finish those 30 days, I'm going to give you direct access to my client. So it's extremely exciting opportunity. Make sure you join to make sure you get in on that opportunity. So guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure to hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.